come together and just be this one world religion. And okay, fine. Practice your religion here in our country, but never forget that our traditions and our roots and our Constitution and our forefathers were God-fearing and mostly Judeo-Christians. And our traditions and roots and our laws are all rooted in the Judeo-Christian laws, and we should never forget who we are. And when we start forgetting who we are, then we're going to lose we've already lost our way, and we're going to continue to lose our way. We need to stand up for the truth and tell the world, remember who we are. We are a Judeo-Christian nation. You're welcome here to practice your religion freely and peacefully, but don't try to change who we are. Well, and the other thing I wanted to mention, though, is on the executive order that conceals the presidential information. I wanted to say that in that law, it states that they can't conceal the records just for any particular reason. They can only, it says in Section G, a substantial question of executive privilege exists if NARA's disclosure of presidential records might impair national security, including the conduct of foreign relations, law enforcement, or the deliberative processes of the executive branch. In no way is producing a birth certificate going to jeopardize our national security other than protect our national security by producing the birth certificate. So it's an abuse of power, in my opinion, if we can still give our opinions, to claim executive privilege when Article 2 of the Constitution requires a birth certificate and proof of citizenship, and it is not breaching any national security law.
It is not only an abuse of power once you are the president to use such a privilege, but it is criminal as well because the Constitution, as you state, requires and calls for the demonstration. I'm not calling for the birth certificate. The Constitution is calling for the birth certificate. The Constitution.
Yes, and I think people get confused here because they have to remember that if one law is violated by lawmakers and who are public servants, then they are going to violate all the laws. And they are going to hold themselves above the law while holding you and me accountable and punishing us for questioning them.
And that's my problem with the Tea Party, because they're overlooking the constitutional law regarding the natural born status. But let me reference something else you said with respect to religion. I agree with you that to introduce me to foreign gods and deities and religions. I'm a Christian, and I believe wholeheartedly in what Jesus said, that he is the way, the truth, and the life. No one else has to believe that, but I do. And for you to come along and tell me that it is brotherhood to accept the religious tenets of those who do not believe that Jesus' words were true, but they simply were prophetic and they were given for an era and for a time, and that we all have a similar purpose and we should not exalt one's religion against another. I find that to be spiritual adultery, because you should not have relations with these idol religions that I understand them to be. And then the other item I think is absolutely clear is that, I really love Thomas Jefferson, the things that he's written and the great things he's done for this nation. But I certainly take offense with his pluralism idea of religious tolerance. And I believe that initially, and we have to respect the constitutional First Amendment of the religious freedom. And I do that. I do. However, we ought to be free to respect that, but certainly not to bring ourselves in any kind of cooperative efforts with them. And you're right. This nation was founded upon Christian principles. Jesus is Lord. God has blessed this nation, and we should never forget it. So,
well, the Islamic religion has been here for many, many years, before 9/11, before Obama, and after Obama. So no one's denied anybody any freedom of religion, especially Christians. And Jews haven't. So no one's actually said anything until Obama became elected, and this became a huge issue in our country for some reason. Because they have 3,000 mosques in America. They have over, I think it's 100 or 200 in New York, and 1-2 blocks away from Ground Zero. So no one's denying anybody any freedom of religion, but we are asking that people who come to our country respect the fact that our country is a Judeo-Christian nation, and its roots and its laws for over 230 years are Judeo-Christian traditions, and they agree to assimilate and respect our laws when they become citizens and become Americans.
Well,
so, you know, we shouldn't be forced to accept the fact that we're all one. We are not all one.
Amen.
We have freedom of choice in this country.
Amen to that.
And
Listen,
I wanted to mention to you quickly that
I got another caller. Say it quickly.
I just wanted to mention to you really quickly. I bet you didn't know that there were 2 Islamic schools in the city of Irvine in Orange County that were opened in 2001. So no one's denying anybody freedom of religion in America.
Thank you very much for that, Rose. Thank you so very much. Did you tell us about your book today, or are you going to not tell us about that? Because I got another call on the line. Hello.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my book is Fight Back Legal Abuse, and it is on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and it can be, you can get my website at www.fightbacklegalabuse.com. Thank you so much, and God bless you, Doctor.
God bless you. The caller hung up. Now, Captain Turner, if you're still on the line, you say the Tea Party left you, and that every time you get up to speak, they want to critique your speech to make sure you're not going to say anything about the Constitution. Is that what you were intimating when you started out a few moments ago?
Yes, it is, and they just are afraid of it. I recall when I was at a Tea Party on the April 15th, and there were a lot of candidates for governor and other positions running. And they handed me the mic to ask questions, and then she pulled it back. She said, "What are you going to ask him?" And this was somebody running for governor of California. And I said, "Well, about the National Guard." And of course, then I segued right into it. When I asked the question, I said, Mr. Naratelli, if you succeed in achieving the office of Governor of California, will you perform like some of the other gubernatorial candidates in the neighboring states who say that the first thing they will do is demand that the commander-in-chief prove that he's eligible, and if not,
oh boy. Go ahead.
If not, within 48 hours, you will withdraw our National Guard and bring them back home to defend our state from the illegal alien invasion that's taking place.
Did they throw you out of the meeting that night, or what?
Well, the people in the audience applauded, so they heard what I was saying. And, of course, the candidate said, absolutely. He said, matter of fact, I'll even call out the Minutemen, because he knew there was a lot of Minutemen in the audience. So I got it in, much to the chagrin of the questioner, and I try to ease it in every place I can.
Well, you know, I think that the Tea Party, a number of people have said to me privately, why are they mushrooming and growing with such fervor and power, and they're going in the right direction? I mean, people have said if they're doing the wrong thing, I mean, people have said to me that, well, you know, Beck got that big crowd down there in Washington. People would not have gone down there if it was the wrong thing. Well, you know, I guess they can argue that might makes right. I don't necessarily agree with that size is everything. I don't agree with that either. But, you know, a large number of people are under that impression that that's what's happening. Listen, I got to take a break here, and we're going to do some news here at the bottom of it. We've got another caller on the line? We do? All right, let me take this other caller, Captain Turner, and then we're going to take a break. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'll hold on. I just want to point out something that is sort of like a swindle about the way that people talk about the First Amendment to the Constitution. They call it the Establishment Clause. It's really the An Establishment Clause. They make establishment very high, like it's producing a religion like it's some verb, when it all really means any particular religion. The actual interpretation of the First Amendment is protection of religion from the government, not the vice versa.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue speaking.
Okay. And there are several other areas where that little swindle takes place semantically. Of course, we now know about eminent domain, meaning public use, being misinterpreted, as Justice Thomas stated when he dissented on their opinion. And as this goes on, the other thing that I'd like to point out is, why does the Constitution insist on an indigenous person being president? Well, and it's obvious. We know that even Indians, American Indians who were so badly mistreated, they fought bravely for us in World War II, and for good reason. It's their home. If you're not raised in an area, born and raised in an area, you won't consider it your homeland and fight for it and defend it. And that's a problem, because here we have someone who was possibly born outside the United States, of parents who were not citizens. At least one of them wasn't. He's probably, as they say, a British subject at birth, and he was raised in Indonesia. So what kind of till he was around 8 or 10 years old. So what kind of allegiance do you think a person like that would have? The Constitution was very right. The founding fathers were quite correct in realizing that. Okay, that's about the only remarks I'd like to get across.
Thank you very much for those remarks.
I have a spare throat.
Thank you so very much for those remarks. You're absolutely right. I'll have some comments afterwards, but let's do this bottom of the hour news break, and we'll be back with the waning moments of this press conference here on the Manning Report today. I'll be right back in just a moment or so.
With an IRN USA Business News Update, I'm Hope Duggar. Campaign money continues to flow in a record year for midterm election spending. Here's Carlotta Bradley.
There's been $264 million in spending so far in this election by outside groups, organizations separate from the political parties and candidates. The number reported to the Federal Election Commission is more than outside spending in the 2008 presidential year and 4 times the outside spending for the 2006 midterms. However, actual spending could be a lot higher because those reports only cover spending on communications. There's no accounting for get-out-the-vote field operations by conservative and liberal groups. Carlotta Bradley, Washington.
A mixed report on durable goods from the Commerce Department. Rising demand for commercial aircraft lifted orders for big-ticket manufactured goods in September. At the same time, business spending weakened on products that tend to signal expansion plans. Overall, orders for durable goods rose 3.3% last month. With an IRN USA Business News Update, I'm Hope Duggar.
Debt is your worst enemy. It never sleeps, doesn't take breaks, keeps you up at night, and makes you believe there's no end, no way out, and no hope. It's time to turn it all around. It's time to break free from these lies and start living stress-free. It's time for an SOS. Hi, I'm Herb K., and I want to share with you the most powerful secrets debt collectors and so-called debt negotiators don't want you to know. I've put these secrets in my SOS Debt Defense Program, and it's guaranteed to help you stop bill collectors cold and eliminate your debt fast. And it works no matter where you live or how much you owe. There's no reason to waste thousands of dollars on so-called debt negotiators who will likely just take your money and leave you in a worse position than you started. It's time to get rid of the worst enemy you will ever have and get back your peace of mind.
Call 800-873-1047 right now to get your SOS Debt Defense secrets free. End the nightmare now. Call 800-873-1047. It's time to make it all go away. That's 800-873-1047.
All right, everybody, we have just a few moments left before we're going to make our exit today. It's been a great day. Certainly want to thank Captain Neil Turner for his input and finally putting the major question to rest regarding judicial authority. And now that the transcript is available to all to read and digest, and I pray that people will look at this and that America will move. I'm convinced that this transcript that's now on our website will fall into the hands of people, and that will be awakened to the truth that's happening in our nation, and will not allow our nation to go forward until this question about Mr. Obama has been answered. I pray that not only that, but we as a nation of people will recognize why we have